Welcome back, everybody. Sarcasm Speaks, Jared and Bob here. Game two for us. It's Thursday for you guys potentially. So, um, you said you had something you were gonna kick us off with.
Yeah, so anyone that's been listening will remember like a year ago or so, my mother and I digging through shit, like kind of figured out some of like the family lineage, which if you remember moral of the story, it's like everyone just fucking died and they all died like super fucking early, like kind of fucking chaotic, whatever. So, uh, who would be my true second cousin called my mother. Yeah, so my second cousin. So both of our parents are cousins.
Right.
So she gave my, and actually I think it's technically it's from like a half sibling, but anyway, like down the line. So she called my mother and was like, "Oh, I did ancestry.com and I actually found out that there are cousins in um Chicago." And she's like, "Oh, I got in touch with them, and they said that they were descendants of Michael, who would be my great grandfather's brother.
Right.
But he lived out in Chicago. I don't know what that. I mean, I think they were all born in Italy. Like, I don't know if he ever came to Boston, went straight to Chicago.
Right.
Don't know. Doesn't really matter." So she's like, "Yeah." She goes, "She just keeps asking me like all these questions." She's like, "I just don't know. Like, I don't, you know." She goes, "I never met my grandmother." This is my mother. She goes, "I never met my grandmother. She died too early." And she goes, "All I could go off was like what Joe told me." And she was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I just this is the cousin again." She's like, "Yeah, I just remember my nana saying that their father, which would be my great grandfather, was poisoned or something." She goes, "Yeah." My mother's like, "Yeah, I heard the same thing. Like poisoned." I'm like, "Poisoned?" I'm like, "What
Yeah.
the anyway?" So
Well, Chicago could have been in with the mob.
funny you say that. So my mother sends me a newspaper article on Friday that my cousin had dug up about how Michael from Chicago had a heart attack in the Mystic River
Hmm.
while visiting his brother in Medford. So this is like 1934 or so, plus or minus.
Yeah.
Heart attack in the river. Now, as a couple Medfordonians, we're both pretty familiar with the Mystic River.
Yep.
No one has a heart attack in the Mystic River by accident.
Yeah. No one swims in the Mystic River.
So pull up the article. He was 45 of Chicago, rescued from the Mystic River, taken to Lawrence Memorial. Died there this evening, either of a heart attack or a cerebral hemorrhage. Now I understand it's 1934, so it's a little bit hard to decipher back then.
Yeah.
I also don't know what, and again, this was obviously like day of, so it's not like full autopsy, whatever. He was visiting his brother of Medford. He was standing in about 3 feet of water at the state beach on the river when two girls saw him slump down. One of them went to his assistance, the other called the lifeguard. At the hospital, his normal breathing was restored, but he seemed slow to regain consciousness. He died after they worked over him for 3 hours. So that's all the info I have.
Yeah.
I believe that's enough to probably assume that if we put two and two together, so this dude was from Chicago.
Yep.
He came to visit his brother. had a heart attack in the Mystic River. That doesn't sound overly natural. And then even then, the newspaper article says it was either a cerebral hemorrhage or it was a heart attack. Those are different things.
Yeah, they are.
So not quite sure on that one. Now, what I can confirm that so my grandfather was born in 1930. I'm fairly certain that his father died like around the time he was like, 4 years old. So, going back to earlier, this article is about 1934. My great grandfather was allegedly poisoned, according to both of his kids.
Right.
Also died about 1934.
Hmm.
Quite the coincidence, huh?
Yeah. Did he also die of either a heart attack or a cerebral hemorrhage?
Well, so that's the thing. I don't have a
Yeah, you
neat
don't have
newspaper
the,
article on that front.
yeah. Two brothers.
Something stinks.
Yeah.
I'll say so. Italian immigrants.
Right.
One in Chicago, one in Medford, like Boston area.
Right.
Both pretty much murdered. I mean, if we're gonna not, let's just not beat around the bush here.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking they were both in the fucking mafia,
Probably,
Chicago mob, mafia,
or had
whatever,
some sort of tie to something. Right.
something. And even if like one of them was and one of them wasn't, like
And we
somehow,
know that Medford in particular has ties to the mob.
Chicago.
They go back pretty far. I mean, I think Medford eventually like trickles up to Providence, right? But or Boston. I never really understood the difference between like the when people say the mob like in Boston or Providence, like I think they might have been the same thing, just two different like factions. Like I think it was like the same family, right? Or
Well,
whatever you
that's
call it.
but like there's like different families and
Yeah.
I don't know how it's all broken down. I can confirm that my great grandfather was definitely dead in 1939. So again, the two of them died like right around the same time because I'm fairly certain I remember my grandfather saying like that he barely knew his father.
Yeah.
And I think my mother could dig up when he was buried. I think she has that info, but she's not gonna. Because the other thing too is like, so moving away, like we'll come back to it, but she's like, I really don't want to like get involved in this whole ancestry thing and like talking to people. She goes, I don't really care that much. And no, I don't know the answers, and I don't know if we're gonna find them out anyway. Because especially like the basic info we did find, probably two guys killed for mafia ties or mafia something.
Yeah, or they owed money, right? Or it's
Yep, they owed
somehow
money or
they were involved with the mob in
some.
one way,
Yes,
shape, or form.
if they weren't in it, then they wronged them or
Right.
something.
Right. Right.
Not bad for a fucking Friday morning, huh? So the second thing that my mother sent me was my great grandmother's um application for citizenship.
Mhm.
And the info's there, whatever. So she filled this out in 1939, and that's how I know that she was a widow because it's checked off here. Uh, so I don't know. I don't know why I find this so funny because you have to make a petition in here. In the petition, I think I can read most of it. I am not a disbeliever in or opposed to organized government or a member of or affiliated with any organization or body of persons teaching disbelief in or opposed to organized government. I am not a polygamist nor a believer in the practice of polygamy. I am attached to the principles of the Constitution of the United States and well disposed to the good order and happiness of the United States. It is my intention to become a citizen of the United States and to renounce absolutely and forever all allegiances and fidelity to any foreign prince. I don't know what that word says. Potent?
Principality.
No, it says like it's like potentate, potentate. I don't know. State or sovereignty, and particularly to Victor Emmanuel III, King of Italy. I forgot there was still a fucking King of Italy in
Yeah.
1939. Because I saw that in the middle. I'm like, why the fuck do you have to? Oh, you got to renounce the king.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay,
All right.
not bad. I thought that was funny. Just in
Huh,
there.
that's funny.
So yeah, if any of you were in Chicago and you're a descendant of a guy Michael who drowned in the fucking Mystic River, circa 1934, let me know. I guess
We got some listeners in Illinois. Doesn't tell me where in Illinois, but somewhere in the state.
could be Chicago.
Could be. Could be.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, it's like, especially in 1934, the Mystic River had to have only existed
Oh
as a
yeah.
body dumping spot
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because that thing was polluted for a long time. And then that factory in Woburn was dumping in it.
Right.
But that was what, the 70s?
Yeah. That was wasn't that Aaron Brockovich? Not what that movie was based off of? It's the shit in like the tanning, the leather tanning place in
Um,
Woburn. I think it was loosely based off of that. I don't
there
know.
was an
I've
actual
never
movie.
I've never actually seen
What the fuck
Aaron
was the
Aaron
actual
Brockovich.
movie? I haven't
Yeah,
either.
the actual movie was
Oh, A Few Good Men's Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth.
yeah,
A civil action?
I think so.
We
Was it
definitely
John
had to watch
Travolta?
in a civil action. Is it a civil action? I can
I
Google
don't
it.
know.
We definitely watched it in school.
Let me see.
That is John Travolta.
Yeah,
Do I have the right movie? Yep,
yep,
that's
yep.
the one.
Based on Woburn. Yeah, I thought I was pretty sure that John Travolta was in it. So yeah, that's the actual movie. But if I can look up Aaron Brockovich, the movie. Oh no, that's something different. Who initiated a legal case against the Pacific Gas and Electric Company over its culpability in the Hinkley groundwater contamination incident. That looks to
Well,
be in Hinkley, California.
oh, I was gonna say, unless they just changed the details of the
Yeah.
leather company.
No, so I knew that it was based on a real thing because like Erin Brockovich is like a real person. Like she's an actual lawyer.
Uh,
Um, but I thought it was an ad like a some sort of adaptation on the Woburn thing. Because yeah, I haven't seen it. I mean, I know Julia Roberts is in it, but I haven't seen it. And it appears to be about Hinkley, California, and the Pacific Gas and Electric Company. So it is not a civil action with John Travolta, but that is about Woburn.
what was the actual Mystic River movie about? Did you ever
Murder,
see that?
I think.
Was it about a guy from Chicago?
Imagine.
Does
Um,
someone owe me royalties?
I think Kevin Bacon was in that. I want to say Sean Penn too.
Did Sean Penn die?
Let me see. Oh wow, there's a lot of people in this. So can confirm Sean Penn and Kevin Bacon. Also Tim Robbins. Um who was um Shawshank in the Shawshank Redemption, or not. His name wasn't Shawshank, but he was the main character in Shawshank Redemption. Lawrence Fishburne, also known as the Bowery King from John Wick, or um, the fuck was his name in the Matrix? Christ, Morpheus, Morbius,
I almost
Morpheus.
just said Mobius. That's
Mobius is
Owen
Loki.
Wilson.
Yeah. So Lawrence Fishburne is in it, and Laura Linney is in it too. From she's in Jurassic Park and all those. There's a lot of people, and not to forget the one and only Douglas Bowen Flynn as well, who played what was he guard number 3?
I see. Mushroom number 3 in the school play.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know that inside joke, there was an English teacher at Medford High that I didn't have him. Did you ever have him?
No, I didn't have him.
But he was an insufferable prick who thought he was like an actor when realistically he was an high school English teacher at Medford High School. And he would get like extra roles in these movies. And he got a role in the movie Mystic River. And I think his actual like character name was like guard number 3, or like guard at barrier number 3, or like something like that. Like it was because I remember he made people watch it. I think Finn might have had him. And I think Finn was talking about like he made the class watch the movie and he paused it to point himself out in the movie or something. Like he was that much of a fucking prick about it.
It was funny too, because I think he taught like AP and standard.
He did. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like he didn't really know the difference between the two.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see. Mystic River is a 2003 American neo-noir crime film. Oh wow, co-produced by Clint Eastwood. A lot of names here. Oh, it doesn't give me anything about what the movie's about, and I don't want to read the whole plot. Um, but it looks like it's Irish. 1975 Irish American friends. Jimmy, Sean, Dave playing street hockey in Charlestown. Oh, sick. Sick, dude. Couple Irish kids from Charlestown.
Was one of them like really good at math? Maybe like worked at the school as a janitor.
Talk about like, okay, so this is the second paragraph in the plot section of Wikipedia. So it talks about like these 3 kids are friends, and then, whatever. One of them gets kidnapped and sexually abused for 4 days until he escapes. So the second paragraph here, 25 years later, Jimmy is an ex-convict and neighborhood convenience store owner. Sean is a detective with the Massachusetts State Police whose pregnant wife, Lauren, recently left him. And Dave is a blue-collar worker continually haunted by the abduction and rape that he suffered. Jimmy and Dave are related by marriage. Dave's wife Celeste and Jimmy's second wife Annabeth being cousins. Like, does it get any more stereotypical Boston than that?
The only thing they had to say is he worked at Boston Sand and Gravel.
Like that's so like that at this point, and I know the movie came out in 2003, but like at this point, it's almost unbelievable. Like I can't suspend my disbelief for that because it's too on the nose, right? Like that's too on the nose that these 3 friends are all fucked up in different ways, and one of them was abducted and raped. One of them's a state trooper, but he's got a fucked up marriage, and his pregnant wife left him. The other guy went to jail, but now he owns a convenience store. And then 2 of them are related by marriage because their wives are cousins. Like it's just like come on, man. Like that's too much. That's just too much.
I was gonna say last names are probably McCarthy, Sullivan.
Jimmy Markham, Dave Boyle, and Sean Devine.
No, that's not right.
Yeah.
They should be a Sully.
There's a John O'Shea.
Yeah, that probably checks out. Probably need like an O'Malley, a
Yeah.
Sully, and then probably a Stu. Something like that.
Yeah. So there you have it. Let's see what else. Oh, this is an interesting one. This is more along the lines of like a here we go, like, classic, next level government overreach type of deal. I saw this the other day that there's a senator in California that is pushing to pass legislation that would prevent cars from going any more than 10 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. So anyone out there might be like, well, how are they going to do that? Well, the proposal by this dickhead senator is that every car in California is to be equipped with a special device that monitors speed and the speed limit of like whatever, GPS like ring area, right? That you can geofence, right? Like you can just geofence all the areas. Um, and it would go in to prevent your car from going more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit of that posted area. And this guy's whole theory, right? His proposal is like, well, I think everyone is against speeding, and this is a way that would make the roads safer.
What's the trade-off here?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like that's my
Because
first thing.
the other thing too is like I know the way it was described was, oh well, it'll track your speed, but it's also tracking your location
Correct.
because it needs to know where you are
Right.
in order to know the speed limit.
Correct.
Um, yeah, I don't think the government should be involved in something like that.
Nope, not at all. And at the risk of sounding like a fucking tinfoil hat conspiracy guy, this is the first step. This is how it starts, right? Like this
What
is
it always starts with the shit sandwich, right? Like
right.
they're gonna use well well no one's really pro speeding. Okay. So this thing will just like, it'll like kind of like monitor your speeds and just like it won't let you go over 10 miles an hour more than the speed limit. So like the roads will be safer. And then like you could probably expand on it being like, oh, well, you're more less likely to get a ticket that way. It'll control it for you. But no, just leave me the fuck alone. How about
Well,
that?
because now you're opening up access to your car to the government. Like the government now has control over your vehicle.
Yeah. Not I don't love it.
No.
Because that's the thing is now if you're on because like so now let's go down the let's just might as well not dance around it. Let's go down the route of potential nefarious
Yeah.
potential nefarious doings, right?
Yep.
So let's say you are wanted for a crime. And I'm not condoning that you commit a crime, have a warrant out for your arrest, and then fucking be at large. I'm not condoning that.
Right.
But now if GPS is like, I mean, they can probably find your car anyway, but like if they have that easy access to GPS,
Right.
done. They're
Right.
finding you.
Right. Because
But
it
it's
could
even
be
as
theoretically that like if you did want to GPS track someone in a new car, right? Because that's the thing. All new cars are basically computers on wheels, right? Like
right.
that's what they are.
They can
So
find you.
so say, in order to do that at a normal procedure, you may have to go to a judge and get a warrant, right?
Right.
But if the government already has access, well, now, no, we're just checking to make sure people aren't speeding.
Right.
Oh, we just happen to find that this guy is on this road going this direction, but he's not speeding. We know exactly where he is, right? It's like it circumvents the judiciary process of
Yeah.
obtaining
Search
a
and
warrant.
seizure.
Right.
Potential nefarious act, hacking, right?
Right.
Um,
which has allegedly happened to some people, right? Already, right? There was the I forget the guy's name, but it gets brought up quite a bit. Rogan talks about it. There's other people that talk about it. There was a journalist. I forget what publisher he worked for, but he was embedded in Iraq with a unit in Iraq or Afghanistan or something like that. And it was a very odd circumstance because it had to do with a volcano in Iceland. So the journalist was supposed to leave, right? He was embedded with this unit for a certain amount of time, writing something on the unit, and his flight was supposed to leave out of, pick your Middle Eastern country, whichever one it was. Let's just call it Afghanistan. He was supposed to fly from Afghanistan to Iceland with a layover and then fly back to the US. Well, at this time, there was a big a volcanic eruption in Iceland. So not only did his flight get canceled, but also I think like the ash and stuff in the sky made flying like transatlantic like difficult or something like that. So the short of the story is he got stuck longer with this group in Afghanistan and ended up like becoming an accepted part of their team. And there were some people that spoke ill of, I think it was Obama at the time, right? Like it was there was a general, or again, I'm fuzzy. I don't know whether it was a general that was talking shit about Obama or if there was like a ground commander that was talking shit about the general who worked in the Obama administration or whatever. Whatever there was some sort of criticism. So when he finally gets back to the US, he writes a story on that. And then what ended up happening was it was Bill McChrystal, the general, I think it was his name. He ended up getting fired from his post because of it. That was the fallout. And then like 6 months later, this journalist is like saying that people are tracking him, people are like following him, like he's wicked paranoid. And then randomly, one night at like 2 a.m., his brand new, I think it was a Mercedes Benz, hit 210 miles an hour and went straight into a tree. So the conspiracy theorists are like, well, the government probably took control of his car and sped it up to 200 miles an hour and drove it straight into a fucking tree. Other people might just say he was fucked up and drunk and couldn't handle his life and wanted to commit suicide. The unfortunate thing is we'll never know, right? We'll never know what the real story is, but the potential is there, right?
didn't Henry Ruggs use that defense?
Because he didn't piss off anybody in the government. That's what you got to do first. If you're going to be
Um,
speeding, you have to piss off the government first, and then you can
uh,
blame it on them. So I mean, it's there, right? They certainly have the ability to do it. And then opening up your vehicle for this, because then theoretically, again, I don't know the specifics of it or the ins and outs, but I think it's a secondary device, right? That gets put into your car. So theoretically, your 1998 Toyota Tacoma that's still out there on the road that runs purrs like a kitten, right? It doesn't have any computers in it at all. Is a true, like, quote unquote, off the grid vehicle now gets put on the grid because they have to install this device, the secondary device to monitor speed. So it removes that layer as well. It's just not good, right? Like I am
yeah,
not, it's
just
government overreach.
not a fan.
Yeah. And this is how that's how this shit works, right? It's, well, the people are too stupid to know what's good for them, so we'll do this for them. And then it never ends well. It always gets, perverted in a different way to be used nefariously, right? So to steal the word from you that you used earlier.
Hopefully, we used it correctly.
So,
Yep. How about this? Fuck right off.
yep, yeah, fuck all the way off. Um, let's see what else we got here that's going on. I thought this was kind of interesting. I wonder if I can pull this up really quick because I saw it on my Roka News app the other day. But you know how in years past, and we talked about this when with the last election in 2020, that all of those news companies were basically propped up and still in business because of Donald Trump,
Yep.
right? Because all they did was talk about how Trump equals bad. Well, now that Trump is back in the news and they're back on their like Trump equals bad shtick,
They must be crushing it again.
they're not actually.
Ooh,
Yeah.
their golden ticket.
Yep. Their golden ticket is not working. So I'm trying to see. I don't remember what day it was that I read this on Roka. Um,
I mean, to be fair, like reruns never as good as the original programming.
right. Yeah, here we go. Cable TV ratings. So the Trump bump, right? That's what it was called before, the Trump bump. So dismal ratings for cable TV networks have dispelled hopes of a Trump bump for viewership during the lead up to the 2024 election. Many cable TV networks anticipate a surge in ratings every 4 years ahead of presidential elections. That's the normal cycle. That was especially true during both the 2016 and the 2020 elections, when cable TV networks witnessed larger than expected rating hikes that were coined the Trump bump. In 2016, CBS's chairman said the Trump bump may not be good for America, but it's damn good for CBS. This year, though, the Trump bump has failed to materialize. During coverage of the 2020 Iowa caucus, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, the U.S.'s three largest cable news channels, drew 2.5, 1.8, and 4.4 million viewers, respectively. Those figures were in turn down 17% from the 2016 Iowa caucus viewership. For this year's event, CNN attracted 688,000 viewers, down 72% from 2020. MSNBC was down 36%, and Fox was also down 36% from 2020. So they were down 17 from 2016 and down, two of them were down 36 from last time, and CNN was down 72% from 2020. And for comparison, an NFL playoff game airing at the same time attracted 28.6 million viewers, and CNN got 688,000. The same trend has held true further for Tuesday. This was last week for last Tuesday's New Hampshire primary. 6 million viewers turned into Fox, CNN, and MSNBC between 8 and 11, down from 8.6 million in 2020 and 8.7 in 2016. During an interview last week, the CEO of the Washington Post cast doubt that this election cycle will boost news consumption. He goes, "I'm not convinced that will be the case." Visits to WAPO, like that's the Washington Post website, fell from 161 million in December of 2019 to 116 million last December, a 28% drop. Some analysts attribute the decline to the unpopularity of both candidates and the growing likelihood that the 2024 election will be a rematch of 2020. Exactly what you just said. People don't like the reboots, right, or the sequels. One senior cable executive told the Financial Times there is a, quote, high degree of fatigue among viewers over both candidates. Others attributed the decline to people consuming their news from alternative non-cable sources. And there you have it.
I've been saying that for so fucking long.
Yeah. So Trump is not going to save CNN this time around. He did last time. He kept them in business. Now people don't want to hear it.
No, and that's the other thing too. Everyone's already like formulated their opinions. Everyone already knows where they stand. They don't need to consume
Right.
more of the same.
Right. So I don't know. It'll certainly be interesting to see how much longer CNN even lasts.
It seems like to be like a cockroach, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they're failing like really bad. I guess their new CEO has kind of like tried to bring them back more like central into the center, but I don't know how. I mean, I don't watch the news, right? I especially don't watch CNN. I don't know how well that's going for them. Clearly, it's not going well so far, but remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, it's also a different world, so I have no clue if they've adapted, if they haven't adapted, if they do a good job with social media. I have no idea. I would
Right,
never follow the fucking news on social
right,
media.
same. So, um, all right. Well, you want to start wrapping this up?
We can wrap this up. Um, Top of my head, you got it. So Michaela and I went to a wine tasting yesterday. Now it was odd not showing up in pseudo Dumb and Dumber gear and a hat that said "I love bitches in Atlanta," and having the host get too shit faced and break Vinny's cane and then stab his own hand open
Yeah, and bleed all over the rug in the
and
chair.
bleed all over the rug in the chair. I did clean that rug, and Britt told me she didn't care about the chair. Um, and no one brought a cooler to the wine tasting. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird move.
Yeah. Um, so it was, you know, it was, it's obviously, so I'm joking because we did the wine tasting at our
Was it
friend's
at
house.
a
Oh,
venue or was it at someone's house?
yeah, it was that event. So it was one of the Boston food and wine events.
Okay.
They do, so Boston Food and Wine Festival or whatever the fuck. It's like 10 weeks. And they've got all these events, and some are wine tastings, some are dinners, some are like exclusive private dinners. So, um, I took a chance on it. It was right around Michaela's birthday, so I'm like, "Hey, what do you think?" She
Yeah.
likes wine. Uh, we were planning on going to Italy for our honeymoon, which actually that's booked now, so we are going. And right around her birthday, Boston Food and Wine had a wine tasting, Italian wines. I'm like, what do you think? And it was like one of those, like, I'll get it for your birthday, I'll get it for Christmas. I don't really care. But I'm going to bury the lead and ruin the surprise because I'm asking you, is this something
Yeah.
that you want to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think it's a good idea, but if you're not interested, that's cool. I'll come up with something else. Like,
Right. Right.
let me know. And at first, I think she thought it was like a cooking class or something because it was called like Kings of Italy Masterclass.
Yeah.
So I think she looked at it quick and was like, okay, maybe let's talk about it. And she's like, is it a cooking class? I go, no, it's a wine tasting. She goes, oh, she goes, I did not look at that long enough. I'm like, yeah, no, whatever. Um, so we went to that. That's at the Boston Harbor Hotel.
Okay.
Real shithole. Real
Yeah.
shithole.
Yeah.
Um, no, so it was cool. Like the guy who did it is actually from Salerno, which is where my great grandmother was from. Actually, also Antonio, the one of the murderies.
Yeah.
Um, so he was from Salerno. They went over like the famous Italian wines. So it's like Italian wine, generally speaking, has got like two types of famous grapes, Nebbiolo and Sangiovese. So like the Sangiovese grapes usually produce Chianti, uh, Brunello, and Vino Nobile Montepulciano, something like that. And then the Nebbiolo grapes produce um, Barolos, Barbarescos, Barbaresco. I forget, and like Nebbiolo, whatever. So it was good. I mean, it was definitely interesting to have a guy kind of like guide you through it,
Hmm.
but not be a pretentious piece of shit about it.
Yeah.
So like he would like in like again, so like he was funny and like he had fun with a lot of like it. You can tell he's done it before. And you know, he didn't make it seem like this crazy thing. So like yes, he is a sommelier. Yes, he did spit out into the cup. Yes, like you know, you look at it, you spin it, like he did do that stuff, but he never made it seem like too snobby,
Right.
which was nice. And then for him to be like, "Hey, so you know, like smell it." He goes, "This is generally kind of like what you're smelling." And I'm like, "Okay, understood. Smells like wine."
Yeah.
Then like when you have the one next to it, he goes, "Okay, smell that." And like these were like two vintages of Chianti. He goes, "Okay, now smell this one." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that actually smells different." He goes, "You know, this is like less like cherries, more like dark fruit." I'm like, "Actually, yes, like I actually get that."
Yeah.
Um, and then he's like, "Hey, so like this one was like in a wine bat." He goes, "This one was in a barrel longer." And I'm like, "Well, that's probably why I like it more because it's like bourbon,
Yeah.
you know." Um, so that was pretty good. And like like leading into it, we were like, I'm like, I don't know if we need to plan to eat dinner. I go, I don't know how this is gonna go
Yeah.
because it's a wine tasting, but it says like small plates of food are available or small plates of food from executive chef, whoever the fuck will be provided.
Yeah.
I'm like, small plates of food. I go, we probably shouldn't show up hungry.
Yeah.
Uh, it was just like a few pieces of cheese, like that's all it was. Like it was a
Yeah.
wine tasting. Like they shouldn't have even said like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, small plates of food prepared by the chef. I'm like, bro, you cut
It's
off like
cheese.
three pieces of soft cheese, provided some crackers and four almonds. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean small plates? Um, so yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. It was nice. Again, it was nice that you know it's like because some of it did seem repetitive because it's like, hey, smell this one, taste this one. He goes, you know, you're gonna get a lot of like that dark fruit, red berries, or I'm sorry, it would be like red berries were more like one flavor, like dark fruits were another, and then like you moved into like a tobacco leathery sort of type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, not bad. $100 a person might be a lot, but the wine that we were drinking was like 50 plus bucks a bottle, and there was probably like eight half pours.
Yeah.
So
That's not
not a
bad.
bad take. Not a
Yeah.
bad take.
Yeah.
And like I said, so this is the thing though, like for some of the other events they have, like the private, like VIP exclusive, whatever the fuck dinner was like $600 a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they're serving. I don't know how exclusive it is. It's just like,
Hopefully it's more than cheese and almonds.
yeah. And then there's some like served plated dinners are like 250 with certain themes and wines and all that crap. And I'm like, that's also a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to trying something like that sometime. I would have to like actually look into it. It would have to be
Right.
like the right thing.
It's got
It
to
would have to
fit.
be
It's got to
it's
make
got to be
sense.
something I'd be super interested in, or both of us would have to be super interested in because,
Right.
you know, if I'm all about it and she's kind of like, well, I'm like, well, then we're not doing this.
Right.
Doesn't matter
Right.
how badly I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I also don't know if I'm that much of a food guy. I don't know that answer.
Yeah. I mean, I would say for both of us, like we do like food and we like good
Yeah.
food, but like we're not snobby about it, right? Like
No,
I
so
don't
that
need to go get my food made by like an executive chef.
No,
Like
so I don't know how I would handle that.
I'll go to like the town tavern in North Attleboro that makes an absolutely out of this world prime rib with the horseradish mashed potatoes. Like that's good. Like I
Yeah.
don't need executive chef Fernando Oliveira, like whatever. Like I don't need that. I don't need that.
Yeah, and like some of these Michelin star like things, they're just like so weird.
Yeah.
And then um yeah, there's like so many examples of it too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, this is a sea bass that was caught over here, and it's a very
Yeah. If I'm gonna spend
it's like a
upwards
very
of like
difficult thing.
two,
Like,
$300 plus on a dinner, like I would rather do that at like the North End
yeah, and even
or
then,
like a Smith and Walensky or you know what I
so
mean? Like something like
right.
that. Like I
I was gonna
don't
say
need,
because we walked over because we did walk over to the North End after and we had dinner. It was good.
yeah.
I'm not again, I'm not trying to be snobby, but I'm almost like I got like the Amachachana. I'm like, I don't know, but might like mine more. But like it's another one of those things. Like so we went to Luca, the same place where Jones's thing was.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the menu and I'm actually almost curious. I'm like, feel like they're trying too hard on the menu. So like in a Machachana, which like it's something I've been making lately. I've seen a bunch of videos on it. So the method of cooking this is guanciale or pancetta because it's hard to find guanciale into the pan, let it render out, take it out. So you have the fat in there, add tomatoes. So you get the tomatoes kind of like mixed around, like you get the whatever shit from the pan, blah, 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 blah. Cook your pasta. Pasta goes in, a little bit of pasta water, mix your cheese in, take it off the plate, and then add your guanciale back in. So it's nothing crazy. It's very simple ingredients. It cooks fast. It's
Yep.
not a sauce that cooks all day. And I feel like they tried to do like because it was like a shrimp matriciana. I'm like, all right, well, that might be pretty good. And I'm like, well, they definitely didn't use pancetta or guanciale. They added kale to it, which was fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I almost felt compelled to next time. Now we did her and I did no homework at all. So we left the wine tasting going, well, we need dinner because that small plate was as advertised.
Yeah. Yeah.
We saw the one seal at the aquarium that was around, and then he immediately just kind of like, it's like, oh fuck, people here. I'm gonna sink to the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
And we walked over to the north end. We saw Luca popped in, and he spots to the bar. Actually, we have a high top for you. Cool, we're in. Like we didn't give it much thinking, much planning, but I almost like want to find a place that just doesn't do anything remotely exotic or
Yep.
like off the grid.
Yeah, just keep it
Like
simple.
like play the hits and do it good.
Yep. Yep. I 100% agree
And
with you on that.
I think that's kind of where I am.
Yeah.
Now I do some weird stuff at home, like I'll make burn ends one day and I'll put them on a pizza the next, but I'm not really reinventing the wheel by doing that. I'm just making some odd combinations.
Right. Right.
Um, so I don't know if I would like, oh, well, this is like the caviar that, or it's like, oh, like we're gonna do caviar bumps today, and it's like, okay, and I'm gonna add some foam to this
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
exclusive sea bass that'll be cooked perfect. And be like, okay, this is good. Have you ever had beef?
Yeah,
Because it's
right.
better than sea bass.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I'm definitely with you on that one.
I don't know. Maybe, and again, maybe one day there's something that uh interests me, and maybe we pull the trigger. I don't know. Or
Right.
maybe it's not a Boston Food and Wine Festival. Maybe there's something else similar that seems good enough.
Right. Right.
But I did like the wine tasting, depending on how you feel about some of that stuff. If you don't care, not a good value for you. if you're mildly interested, or if you want to learn about the Spanish wines or the French wines, or I don't know if they do the Portuguese wines. The women or the couple at our older couple at our table, like retired, whatever. They went to Portugal, did like this whole port wine thing. Cool, like
Yeah, yeah.
seemed good enough, and you didn't have to stand in the middle of a liquor store while you did it.
True. Or have someone get too drunk and break a cane and bring a cooler and
But if you're
all that
looking for
stuff.
that,
If
you
you're
are
looking for
not getting
that,
that. You
yeah.
are not getting that at the Boston Harbor Hotel because I drank all of my wine
Yeah.
and made it fine.
Yep.
Made
Yep.
the walk fine. Actually, Michaela might have had all her wine too. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think she did.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like I'm not gonna go there and not finish my drinks, right? Like if
Oh,
you're
so
gonna
the
give
funny thing
if you're gonna give
was,
this to me, I'm gonna drink all of it.
so it's like I actually do so I actually got an email, so it's all square. But like I was like, hey, did you take the list of like what we drank? She goes, no, I forgot it. I go, fuck, I didn't get it either. So I'm like, now I have no idea what we had. They sent me an email with the whatevers.
Yeah.
I'm not buying this shit. Like, dude, one of the bottles is like $80.
Yeah. Fuck that.
I'm like, the cheapest bottle is like 26. I go, I'll pay 26, but
Yeah.
that was one of the wines that it was good. I didn't like it that much. Um, Plus it's like it's one of those things like I have some bottles here. I'm like, I got a Barolo for like 23. It was like $6 off. I go, am I gonna really think that's dramatically different? Probably not.
Right.
Because ultimately it's still wine and I don't have 8 in front of me.
Exactly.
And that's I think that's the big thing with tastings. Like you can put $80 bottle, $120 bottle, $200 bottle, $20 bottle. I might be able to taste what you're telling me. But when I'm home and I don't have all those options sitting there,
Just tastes like wine.
just tastes like wine. I'm also not decanting my shit for 8 hours, so.
Yeah, fuck off with
So I
that.
will say the one snobby thing, he goes, listen, this is something that if you have a decanter, you want to throw it in there, let it like breathe for like, better part of a day, like blah blah blah. And someone asked, they were like, so how long would you let a bottle sit? So like one of the vintages is like 2017. He goes, oh, I like about 10 years. I go, not a fucking chance. You're lucky if that bottle lasts fucking 10 days in this house.
Yeah, exactly.
So then the guy, the couple that was sitting with us, the guy goes, "Well, that's how you end up buying three. One you drink right away, one
Yeah.
you drink halfway through, and then one you drink at the 10-year mark."
Yeah.
I go, "Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I will need a legitimate wine cellar if you're ever gonna catch me doing that shit."
Yeah. All right. Um, so my final thought is relatively quick, straightforward, but Amy and I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie that it came out last year, but
Okay.
it's now on HBO Max. So we watched that the other day, and when it first came out, it got a lot of flack. So Chris Pratt plays Mario,
Okay.
and
Is he even Italian?
Charlie Day is Luigi.
Is he even Italian?
Yeah, no, neither one of them are. And it got a lot of flack because they didn't do the accents, right? Like Chris Pratt just talked normal, like through the movie as Mario. And it's like, I, I don't care, right? Like I didn't care that he didn't sound like Mario. Like, it's a me, a Mario. Like, I don't need that. I don't need a whole movie of that. And I would probably make the argument that it would have been worse if
It
I
would be
had
too.
to.
It'd be too
Yeah,
goofy.
it'd be too goofy if I had to listen to that voice for the whole thing. Um, I mean, I'm not going to give too much away and spoil it, but there is a moment where they do that thing, right? And it's like it's funny. They sneak in the original voice of Mario too, which is kind of cool. But overall, I actually really liked the movie, like a lot. Like I thought it was good. Um,
What was the 10-second plot?
The video game,
Which
uh,
video game? The
Super
original?
Mario, the Super Mario Brothers. It's Bowser is coming to steal Princess Peach to marry her, and they had to figure out a way to stop it and do the whole thing.
Oh,
But
so okay, yeah.
there's like there's plot points from different things all through like Mario, right? Like at one point there's an Easter egg, right, of like the old original Mario where there's a spot and things are like pixelated, right? And it's funny, it's cool. It's like, they get into a race, right, with Donkey Kong, and not, I mean, none of this is
Diddy Kong
spoilers
Racing?
because this is all in previews and stuff, but there's some things, right, some things that come out from
Is Cooper the
Mario
Quick in
Kart.
there?
No,
Damn.
but there is some things that pop out from Mario Kart racing, right? Like there, it's like, oh no way, because when you see them jump in the carts, you're like, oh, that's really cool. Like that's the Mario Kart stuff, and then you're like, are they gonna do what I think they're gonna do? And they do, and it's pretty funny. Like there's the fight with Donkey Kong, like in the Donkey Kong world. Like it's really cool. It's like an homage to like all of the different Mario games over the years. I really liked it. Like I think it's an objectively good movie. And it's one of those, like, I will 100% be watching it again at some point.
I was gonna say, is it a good movie regardless of nostalgia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. So, um, so I looked up, as I usually do when I watch, when I watch movies like that, I'll look up after I finish the movie, right? I've formed my opinion on it. I'll go look up like the reviews and the ratings and stuff. A lot of times it's just on Wikipedia because it'll give you the critic score and then it'll give you the audience score. So in this movie in particular, I can pull it up to get exact numbers, but just ballparking it off the top of my head, this was a movie where like the critics scored it like a 32, but the audience scored it like an 85.
Yeah, so you can Google it too, and it usually says like whatever percent of Google users like this movie.
Right. Um, Let me see. I've got it right here. Yeah. So critics reviewed it an average of 5.8 out of 10, but the audience score gave it an average grade of an A on an A plus to an F scale. So critics gave it a 5.8 out of 10, and the audience gave it an A. 94% positive.
Yep.
So
I'd actually consider watching that.
yeah, it's a good movie. Like I said, I will definitely be watching it again. So it's on HBO Max. Check it out if you got it. It's a good movie. So shout out to Super Mario over there, and Chris Pratt and Charlie Day. So and Jack Black as Bowser. It's pretty fun. It's pretty funny. Like they did a really good job with it. And I think they're gonna make a bunch of sequels now because that's what people do, and they milk it. And I'm sure the sequels will suck, but the first one is good. Um, so that's gonna do it for us. So thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, again, don't forget to click subscribe up above, hit the thumbs up down below. If you're an audio only listener, subscribe over there as well. If you use Apple or Spotify, leave us a review and 5 stars. Um, you can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Website is sarcasmspeaks.com. Go to the merch store, buy some merch. And then also, if you check out all the show notes below, whether you're YouTube or audio, you can find links and discount codes to all the sponsors of the show. So go check those guys out, support them, and they support us. So it's a roundabout way of you supporting us. So thank you. Until next time, good night, everybody.